Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about LEGO, review those amazing bricks and plastic, and discuss what is new and up-and-coming around the LEGO world. I'm your Minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today, this lovely day? And today, well, look, we have to talk about some things, and here's what we're going to talk about, right? We need to talk about the lovely and the amazing and the awesome, this super awesome LEGO creator expert Vespa. Now, some of you might be like, well, bruh, chill. Now, here's why I say that. Some of you are going to look at it and be like, this piece of giant heaping junk. No, we're going to get to that. But I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to be like, I need one. Let's roll on to the show. So this lovely beast called the Vespa 125 has a set number that is 10298, has a retail price of $100 here in the United States and 100 euros. It has 1,106 pieces. Well, what do you think, right? I mean, where do you go with something like this? A Vespa? You walk by it on a shelf in a store and you're like, oh, that is sexy. I need one of those. Do you? Are you a collector? Do you have a Vespa? Are you a completionist? Do you like the color? What is wrong with you? I'm totally kidding, by the way. This is very interesting to me because it's one thing to do a motorcycle, okay? Two-wheeled vehicles in Europe are a thing. Absolutely are a thing. In the United States, not near as much. Everybody loves their four-wheel drive pick-em-ups. Here we go. We get our gas hogs. Don't even get me there. Not today. Motorhome is sitting still right now with the price of gas. Anyway, so with that in mind, this lovely behemoth beast thingy-majigger is actually really cool. And if you have paid attention to my social media accounts in the past few days, you already know what I'm talking about. I was able to take a Monkey Kid mech and sit it on there. Perfect scaling. Thank you, Justin Ramsden and team. I know it wasn't him that created it, but my God, how cool. And I had that tweet blow up. Absolutely loved it. It was so neat. It was literally sitting on my desk, the Vespa, and then also the mech. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and see. I was thinking, let's go grab an action figure that I've got out in the other room or up in the attic, packaged away that I could open real quick and I know what I'm getting, right? Scale-wise. I was like, let's try this. Let's see what happens. And it worked. It is so cool because there are two things that don't go together whatsoever. Not at all. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can see it there. And it was awesome. And it fits perfect. It fits absolutely perfect to this thing. The only downside I wish I don't have one of the mega huge mechs built any longer with the living situation we're in at the moment while we're waiting on our house to be built. But I'm willing to bet with that one, I probably could have had his feet on the ground and then been able to pull up the balancing bar there. The kickstand, dude, it would have looked awesome. It would have been absolutely amazing. So let's go ahead and talk about what this thing has to offer. Well, you already know what its price point is. You already know what it is as far as a value, as far as parts and pieces and stuff like that. So it might be something that you're interested in. It might not. Now, one of the things I found really interesting is the instructions are really well done, as usual. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you, I had no idea. Vespa has been around for over 75 years. 1946? For real? In 1946, the whole way until now. And they have changed a lot. Absolutely, they have changed a lot. And it's one of those things where if you are a, I guess a LEGO fan, obviously it would have changed. But if you are a fan of Vespa or you have had a Vespa, whether it be current or old, you're in that. It's almost kind of like the Jeep Club here in the United States. Like I don't know if they have it anywhere else in the world, but if you own a Jeep, Like a full-on Jeep, you can take the top off, you take the sides off and stuff like that, the doors off. That is a whole religion in itself, especially in warmer climates. And part of me wonders, like, is that what this is? Is that what the Vespa is to the rest of the world? And if it is, awesome. I get it then. I don't own a Jeep. I've never owned a Jeep, but I get it at that point in time. I fully get it. So this lovely thing was created by Florian Mueller, who is the senior designer for the Creator Expert stuff. I had an opportunity to talk to Florian last May. He's an awesome guy. He's the one that created the Adidas shoe. Some really unique things in there. And then his repertoire just continues to be massive. And there are things that you have built and you're like, oh, really? No way. How cool. Yeah, that's it. It's one of the most fascinating things that I think I have come across for this set specifically was the color here. And the color in this thing was immaculate. The color of this thing uses the pastel blue shade. It's rare. It's super duper rare. Some of these pieces I don't think have ever been created in this color, and I'm almost 99.9999 repeating % sure that they have never been recreated in this color or created in general in this color. So that's something. Now, part of me, I'm not a Lego investor. I'm not somebody like that, but part of me is like, well, if you're going to buy one, buy 6, right? I don't think these are going to be super high demand like Star Wars stuff. But if you're going to buy one, buy many. And at some point in time, I mean, it's a rare color. You turn around on eBay, Bricklink, or whatever. I know there's people that have Bricklink stores everywhere. $100 price point is not that bad. And maybe at some point in time, you'll get it a little bit cheaper, but maybe also not. So let's talk about this thing. We already talked about its scale. Its scale is tremendous. I absolutely love the way it's done. And one of the other things that is unique to this, aside from the color and its build, are its tires. Its rims. The tires are fine. The rims. This is the first time they have done a dual colored with the light bluish gray and the white, but on the black tire. So you have the white on black. It looks so slick. I love the way it's done. Now, some of the building techniques in this were super different, interesting, I might say, that I was like, oh, that's how you do it. Oh, look at you. Okay, I got you now. But before we get to that, let's talk about the whole build assembly as a whole. Obviously, if you are not familiar with two-wheeled vehicles, they have a front wheel and a rear wheel. They have handlebars. There is a suggestion for the brake and clutch lever on both handlebars, so you can adjust those as well. If you're somebody like I used to be when I used to ride motorcycles and I was a lower braker person, I would adjust my brake lever so that I could reach it lower just because of my finger dexterity. There is a giant, massive headlamp that is on the front, which is great as well. You also have a sticker that shows you your speedometer, so you know how fast you are going. One of the bugaboos that I have with this is where the hand grips are and the levers. That assembly comes off easily off of the pastel blue cone, which kind of bothers me a little bit. If you're going to be maneuvering this thing around, it is going to create some bit of chaos to a certain degree. Now, as a whole, that's not a big deal, right? Most of you are going to be like, whatever, I don't really care. So underneath that, you have I'm going to try and say this, the Piaggio sticker that is underneath here. There's very few prints, by the way. You have a Vespa sticker that is in the front. I'm just to the left of the headlight. And then you do have another sticker here, which is supposed to be, I'm not quite sure, some kind of forward assembly. It's got some bolts, it's got some lugs that are on it, maybe a tensioning mechanism, something like that going on, but nevertheless, it is there. Now, I do like the bows, the arches that they use here. They did a really good job. Florian and his team did an immaculate job of accomplishing this. I love the front of this. The entire flow of this thing is amazing. And personally, in my opinion, at you just over 1,100 pieces, and you got to take into account how many of those are extra, So under 1,100 pieces to be able to get this design and this flow, I'm good with. Obviously, if they had different parts or higher parts budget, let's say this was a $200 price tag. Most people aren't going to buy a $200 Vespa, LEGO Vespa. But if it were a $200 Vespa, you're going to see something completely different. But I'm okay with this. There are some things. Anyway, so one of the nice little things is as you get down to the assembly for the front wheel, you do have some suggestions of suspension in here using the gunmetal gray, the shiny silver that is used here for the shocking mechanism. And you do have a very bulky, kind of awkward looking front fender for the front tire, which is kind of odd. It's a really unique way in that it is built. You build the one side and then you attach it from the other side. And it's the same thing that we're going to talk about where the actual handlebar assembly goes through. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. But it's kind of odd. There's only the one side that you can see it. On the other side, you have a brake pad piece that is here that you can see, that you have access to, so you can kind of tell what is, ultimately really going on, because that's the most important thing, right? You've got to know these things, dude. But there's no print on it. There's no sticker on it, which is kind of odd to me. I was expecting maybe a little bit more, but I guess they're kind of going with the hub idea. They don't want to draw so much attention there as they do the rest of the vehicle, which, if that's the thing, I get it. Now, the thing does rotate 360 degrees, the steering column. It's a very simple mechanism in the way that it is done. Nothing super extravagant to the point where you're like, holy cow, I've never seen this done before. How did they do it? But I do like the pieces that are used with it. One of the things that I found really super bizarre, or I guess super interesting, is how they attach the panels to the left and the right side to be able to hold that assembly in place. So you attach them from one side. Now, mind you, you need to have some kind of, and I lost a piece. It just broke off the clip. Now, mind you, you do have to have a piece going from the straight up and down of the fairing right behind the front wheel assembly to the angled area where the handlebars are. You've got to find a way to accomplish that. And what they did is they took 1x2 bricks, that have the hinges on them. So it's a 1x2, not bricks, I'm sorry, plates. And they have the hinge, and that allows you to accomplish that. But it's how they're attached. Those are attached via 3 connection pieces. And what I mean by that is there are only 3 studs holding this on. There's the 2 that attach with the plate itself. And then there's another one just down below that you're attaching to. Not a whole lot of attaching space. But the thing is, when you're building it, you're like, this is not going to hold. Now, I trust LEGO designers fully, absolutely fully. But there's always a doubt in the back of my mind, like, how's this going to work? Is this going to work? Is this going to fail? Are these parts going to fail? Now, mind you, this is not going through 5-year-old children's hands where they are absolutely destroying things and putting things way, way to the test. So I always wonder, but it did hold up. It did hold up quite well. So beyond that, you have the assembly where your passenger, in this case, my Monkey Kid mech, is sitting. And I love the way it is done. You build the seat and the front seat and the rear seat are built completely separate. And then the rear seat and the front seat both attach via a Technic axle. It's very basic in the way that it's done, but it is really done nicely to get the curves of the seat. Florian and his team did a really good job there. Now, to be able to get the slope off of the rear of the bike, and when I mean off of the rear, I mean what I'm talking about is going from the front seat to the rear seat to the back, if you want to call it a seat, a spot where you fill it with, I don't know, a container of goodies that you went to the local grocery store and got. It's not big enough, in my opinion, for a third passenger. It's just big enough for a bag or a box or something like that. But in between that, we do get a print. We do get a print for the gas tank here. And I like the way that is done. It is nicely done, obviously. But what I found absolutely fascinating is how Florian and his team went about the build for the very slow sloping rear end of this machine. Now, what happens is you do use some slopes that are attached to the floor where your feet would be. And we'll talk about the feet flooring, or the flooring feet, or the feet of the floor, or the floor of the feet here in a little bit, because it's a little odd in the way that it is built in. But for right now, you have slopes on the bottom and you have slopes on the top. You have an entire assembly that is built by itself, and then it is clicked, not clipped, but clicked into place in joints, the 1x2 modified bricks that allow you to accept the 2x2 modified plate that has, they're not clips, but it allows you to be able to swivel things. It attaches, and it has this very slight decline. The grade is super tiny, but it accomplishes the amazing look of the back end. And then you add the bows that go on the side of this thing, which have never been done in this color and are a fairly new piece here in as far as Lego terminology, as far as Lego pieces. So you add that into it and you get this beautiful curving. I mean, it's magnificent. And the great thing about it is the curving on the side is different from the curving in the center. The curving in the center uses more bricks and plates and stuff like that. The curving on the side uses more larger pieces, and you get that large bow. So you run your finger across it and the light shines across it, and you don't see all of these gaps in between. It doesn't matter how tightly you compact Lego bricks and plates and pieces together. You still get this definition of a line in between. And you don't get that. And it makes it look amazing. Now, just behind that, you have the secondary seat. And then you have your spot where you have this little flip-up dealio that is brick built that houses whatever you want to put. Your bag, if you bought something for your significant other. It's essentially a caddy, a basket that is not a full enclosed basket. But it does flip up and down, and it is nicely done. And it is solid. So if you want to flip it up, flip it down, flip it down, flip it down, flip it up, down, up, down, up, down, you're fine. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to break apart. Now, on the very back side of this, you do have a license plate. It says Roma 23. And then below that, it says 0446 and then Piaggio. Those are stickers. I'm sorry. I know some of you are like, wait, what? But I'll tell you, the rear taillight is built really nicely as well. Now, just above the rear taillight, because that assembly with the rear taillight and the license plate is all angled as well. And it's really cool in the way that it's done. But what I found super fascinating when I was building that assembly, I was like, why are we using these graded 1x2 slope type pieces that have the slits in the middle? You see them for like engine covers and stuff like that. Why am I using these? What in the hell are we doing? Why are we using these? And then I got it. Then I attached the seating assembly and I'm like, oh, that's why we're doing it. Okay, Florian and team, good job. I like that. There's always a method to the madness. Absolutely. And what it is doing, it is taking up the gap between the two angles. You have the angle from the rear, from the seating part, and then also the assembly that has the license plate and the rear taillight. And it's taking up that space. You want to talk about Lego math? That is Lego math to the nth degree. There's a super tiny gap, but if you put compression to it, there is no gap. How do you do that? How? Like I don't want to yell in the microphone, but oh my God, how do you do that? So that was incredible. So let's move to the feet part of this area where your feet rest when you're riding this vehicular mobile type deal. First thing I found interesting was the fact that to keep tension and to keep this thing completely together in the front where the steering assembly is and just in front of where your feet would lie, there is a brick built assembly that clips into place to be able to keep tension. It keeps tension. That's all it does. Its only job is to keep tension, and it does it magnificently. Let's go through it. I'm like, why? What? That's what it does. I wonder, why are we putting clips on these two side assemblies? Now I know why. Well, I knew why. after I built it. But now you know why. But for where your feet rest, on the right and left side, you do have a brake on the right side for your rear brake. And so you do have that little brake lever there. Uses a Lego Star Wars type gun and a cane type piece that is used here. And then you get these plates. Okay, you get these 1x2 plates. I don't even know if they're 1x2. They might be like 1x1.5. They're totally bonkers. And what they are is they have studs, and then they have that track, right? They have the track piece that is in there. And it's to give you an idea of like, if you've ever, used a vehicle floor mat that has the ridges in it. That's essentially what this is supposed to be. It's supposed to create the ridges like on a rubber mat. And it's very profound. It's very noticeable, but I love the way that it is done. Now, just underneath the entire center of the vehicle, you do have this a massive, large display stand / kickstand, whatever you want to call it. That is what it is. You prop this puppy up, and it will stay with the rear wheel on the ground, front wheel in the air, and it is perfect. And that's how I had it displayed, if you can see in my picture. That is how I had it displayed with my mech. Now, just behind that, on the rider's right-hand side, there is a kickstand. It is supposed to be, I believe, the true, honest, real kickstand, but this kickstand will not hold this thing up. You can put it down, but you better have the middle feed down. That's all I will say. It will not hold it on its own. I've tried moving the steering wheel around. It does not work to be able to hold the vehicle on its own. Now, moving to the rear assembly, this is incredible. If you are a gearhead on the driver's right, the rider's right, you're going to love this. You can see where I believe this is supposed to be the chain, right? I think these are chain driven, right? But you have a bunch of suggestions of engine and transmission type pieces that are going on here. You have some fins that are used here. There is a print with the spokes. It is magnificent. I love the way that it is done. One of those giant disc pieces. It's gorgeous in the way that it is done. And this whole assembly is built in a few different pieces, and then it is attached via studs. But you're thinking, oh, that's going to pop off, right? Dude, that's going to fall off. But there is a 1x1 round plate with a bar that sticks off of it. So modified plate, right? And that attaches to a clip. So you get stud attachment and you get clip attachment. So it goes nowhere. Now you build the side pod assemblies, the wheel, I guess the assemblies that cover, well, this one covers the transmission, the drivability of the vehicle, but the other one really does not. It's more of just the aesthetic, but you get the big bump out on the back end of this thing. Those giant domes that are used here, these quarter dome pieces that are used, which I know these have never been done in this color. So those are nice to get, but you get some more bows that are back here. It covers up that area. There's stickers on that side specifically that I was talking about here with the engine type compartment, the exhaust type compartment, even though this is not where the exhaust is, but just to reduce heat. So you get some stickers that suggest some cuttings into the, I guess, sheet metal, into the fabrication. And then on the opposite side, what you have is something that is, I guess, supposed to be more of like a storage, baggage type area. You can unlock it and get into it. That's what I'm assuming. I've never really seen a Vespa, at least not like this, up close and personal. Now, on the same side that you have this, so on the rider's left, there is a exhaust pipe that is just behind where the rider would sit and just in front of the rear wheel. You have that. You can actually maneuver that around because it is on just the same kind of plate, modified plate with a bar we were talking about. It's exactly on that. So you can maneuver that thing around. And if you have one like mine that is fairly loose, it kind of swings back and forth based on how you're holding it in your hands. Now, one of the things I found fascinating about this model is its scale, its size. It is much larger than I expected. I knew what the piece count was, but actually putting it together, I was like, this has some good scale to it. And that's what led me to, I need to put something on this to get some scale. If you've seen the Monkey Kid reviews that I've done or heard about them, or you've seen Monkey Kid stuff, or if you've bought it, you already know what I'm talking about. Or if you've seen the picture, you already know what I'm talking about. And putting that on here was awesome. It gave the scale. I tweeted out about it, and, Justin Ramsden, because I know Justin Ramsden has a big footprint in Monkey Kid. I didn't know who designed this model, the Vespa. I didn't know Florian did it until I went through the instruction booklet. But my God, hello. The ability to be able to tweet a Lego designer and be like, look what I did. How cool is this? And he said, oh, I'll pass it on. I'll pass it on. Awesome. Because here's the thing. Mix and match. Have some fun. I'm not a photog. I'm not like a toy photographer or anything like that. I do things for my own desire. And I got a kick out of it. I wasn't like, let me see how many likes I can get on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Oh my God, how many can I get? No. It was more like I was sitting here. I'm like, what can I put on this? Because it was great scale. Great scale. What can I put on this? Action figure? Nah, I don't want to do this one. Look what I've got on my desk. I've got a Monkey Kid mech. Let's do it. It was done. It was simple. It was awesome. Throw that puppy on there. Done. Game over. Good night. Awesome. Amazing. And I was like, I got to take a picture of it. Because I'm not a great photographer, so I didn't have this amazing light and this back scene and everything like. No, I just wanted to take a picture of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you saw it, if you did not, go check it out on the socials. It is still there. It's not going anywhere. So as a whole, do I think this price point reaches this assembly, this model? Oh, I actually forgot something. See, look, y'all are throwing me off. There is a suitcase that is in the front here, that is in front of the passenger's knees. That says Vespa on it. It's in the dark blue. You do get a little brick-built box with a nice flower assembly that goes on the rear, the very rear of the vehicle, where I said, you can put different things. And then this does come with a brick-built helmet and goggles, which I'm going to let your imagination get the best of you here, because that's what you kind of need to a certain degree. It doesn't look bad, but yeah, it's definitely not my thing. So lastly, I like the model. I do. I think it scales well. I think it displays well. If you're an investor in Lego pieces, Lego parts, you wanna buy things, you're like, I got this. I'm gonna buy this. I want these pieces because they're gonna be important to my business in the future. Well, then you already know your answer. But looking at it from a Lego builder, a collector, a displayer, not somebody that's like, oh, I can turn around and sell this. I think this is a really cool model. Hands down, I do. I mean, you saw how I took a picture with a mech on top of it. It works for me. I wasn't so much trying to jazz it up as so much as I was like, this is going to be fun. So with that in mind, is the $100 price point worth it? Well, that's up to you, honestly. I can't tell you yes or no. I can give you the facts and I can give you what this thing has to offer. I cannot tell you this is 100% worth it, because you may not find this interesting. You may find the Batman Technic Batmobile fascinating, but not this. It's up to your individual tastes. I'm just trying to give you the information to say, hey, you know what? This is what you're getting with this decision. This is what you are getting with your purchasing power. And for me, I always find a good in every Lego set. Vespa is not my cup of tea. I've never owned a Vespa. I've already told you that. But for me, it's one of those things I'm like, well, this could be fun. Let's see what it has to offer. And every Lego designer leaves you with something. And I guarantee there are some little designs or things on the inside, things on the license plate that I might be like, I don't know what that is supposed to mean. But there's always hidden details. And they do this. And they know they do this to get people riled up, like myself. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But as a whole, I think it's a pretty good set. If you're a collector of any kind of vehicle, whether it be motorcycles, cars, aircraft, whatever, Titanics, I think you're going to really like this set. I think this is definitely going to be something that appeals to you. The color is amazing. If you remember back to the cool yellow color of the Fiat, if you remember back to that, that is kind of what you're going along with here. and having it be more of a rare color. Now, I'm sure we'll see more of this color as we go along, but that is definitely going to influence some people in their purchasing. Absolutely. 100%. So I like the model. I thought it was great. Some really cool building techniques, not a lot of prints, lots of stickers in comparison to prints to stickers. But can you really complain? I can't. Honestly, I truly and honestly cannot complain. So with that in mind, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I had a blast building this thing, displaying it, playing with it, putting a monkey kid neck on it, and sharing it with you. So until we round these corners again and get back to each other, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.